Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer and the designer Skeindeer Knits on Ravelry. Welcome to this knitting podcast, knitting talk show. If you're a new viewer, this is where I sit and talk about knitting for about an hour, usually every week. But for returning viewers, you will know that I've not really been around for a while. This was not a planned break. It just never really seemed to be the time to record. I have been sick. I'm still sick. I trying to look put together and healthy, but honestly it's probably a little bit of fever inside of me still, but it's definitely on the path to recovery, and I think this is my last sick day, to be honest. Also, my housemates have been at home a lot, and I don't like recording when people are home, so that's the thing. And it's been really hot. Recording when it's hot and you're sick and there are people at home and they want to like do barbecues, and that dog that usually disrupts me with barking is going to be nothing by comparison. So it was just never the right time, plus obviously busy with university work and what have you. So that's really just the very uninteresting reason. Wish I could have recorded sooner, but I'm here now. The other thing is, the projects I will be talking about today, literally none of them, I was just working through my show notes, and none of them will have links to anywhere because it's all designs. I have been really bitten by the design bug. I have so many ideas and so many things I want to make, and usually I don't really make time for it, obviously, because I have other commitments, and I am like looking forward to the day I can take this to full time and devote more of everything to, you know, engaging with you guys, social media, messages, just being more present instead of this sort of half here not here thing that I've been doing for the past, what, 2 years. It's like I'm putting out content but I'm not really here. It's really weird, and I'm looking forward to when that is going to be over and I'm just doing this. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just gonna do something else, I don't know. But the point was, that was a digression, that I am working on designs even though I usually don't make time to it, because I found some time in the evenings where I could just work through all my spreadsheets and have the patterns ready, and then I wrote them down, and then I'm like, well, I just need to knit them, and I already knit. It's just that it's easier to make time to knit stuff that is already written, but now they're already written. So yeah, that's the story there. I really need to work more that way, because that means I can actually produce patterns. Speaking of patterns, lots of people have been asking me about the Mitten Club, which I usually launch every August. Every year. I've done it for 2 years, and I do want to do a third one, and I am working on it, and I have knitted 3 out of 5 pairs, so it is technically good to go, except that I have not photographed them, and I decided that I could make it to one of the festivals in Norway this September. I initially couldn't make it to any of them because of my thesis, but that's some things that have changed. That's got nothing to do with this podcast, but that meant that I could make time for one. And sadly, the local festival to me, Trondheim Strikkefestival, TRD, which is organized by some amazing people I know in the local knitting community there, it's the first one up. It's coming this weekend. I'm recording this on a Friday. This is probably going to be released after the festival's been, so there was just no way that I could get last minute tickets for that, and I'm really sad. And so it was between Oslo and Bergen, and I just chose Oslo based on reasons to do with, like, you know, travel costs and where it's been the longest since I've been there, and the fact that it's been the longest since the festival was running. And I'm so sad because I love Bergen Knitting Festival so much. But the happy news is, after this long-winded story, is that I'm going to Oslo. I'm going to Oslo Knitting Festival, and I look forward to see you guys there. So the reason I'm mentioning that in this context is that I will want to photograph the mittens there, and so that means the Mitten Club won't come out the beginning of September as I had planned. It will come out as soon as I'm back from Oslo. That's when it's going to be photographed and done and ready, and yay. So yeah, basically that's the plan. So stay tuned for the mittens. The other thing I wanted to say about the festival is that I am in talks with the organizers about me maybe doing something there. I'm not going to say what it is in case we can't make it work in the very short span of time that we have, but if I can make it work, just pay attention to my my Instagram and what the festival posts. Editing out a lot of coughing. If things seem very choppy, that's what's happening. I'm coughing a lot. So yeah, just pay attention to what the festival puts up and what I put out there, and if we decided to do it, it will be there. I hope I will be doing the thing that I will be maybe doing, but if I don't, I'm just going to be there as a private person who is just hanging out like everyone else. So knit-alongs. I am running 2 knit-alongs at the moment. It is the Yearlong knit-along of 2019 and the Kosekov the Cal, and they're both running until the end of the year, I think it's fair to say. More information about both on Ravelry. It's never too late to join, but obviously projects can't be older than this year and have to be finished by the end of the year. That's basically it. I also really wanted to thank you guys for your very lovely kind words about my guest Anushka, who was on last episode. Why did I say my guest? My friend Anushka, who was a guest in the last episode. Goodness me. Yeah, we talked about a little bit how we met and opinions around knitting and fit and size and stuff to do with that. Obviously me being an enthusiastic knitting pattern designer and kind of, I don't know what to say, like having dabbled in many clothes sizes in my life, and Anushka having, you know, tailor experience, professionally educated, and I don't know, I'm pointing there as though she's still here. She's not. But yeah, we're coming from sort of the same but also different perspectives, but also obviously a lot of the stuff that Anushka tells me about tailoring has really informed my designing, but also I hope a lot of my thoughts about size and fit and inclusivity also has rubbed off on her, so we kind of always like bouncing ideas off each other. And I'm really glad that we were able to share that on here. So thank you all so much for your kind words. We got a lot of really lovely feedback on that. So yeah, thank you. So, whoa, what am I wearing? It's hot. I had to shut the windows because it was just noisy and London. So I'm wearing a summer top, even though it has cooled down, and I'm really pleased, but it's sunny. So I'm wearing my Soleil shell, which is my own pattern and has very quickly become a wardrobe staple. It fits me really well. I made it quite short to fit my, you know, skirt and high-waisted shorts kind of style. But it's really easy to modify the length in the pattern because it's top down. So literally, it looks like this. But what it says in the pattern is basically when you're here, you can knit to desired length before you have this to go. So, you know, if this is X amount of inches, it says knit until you're X amount of inches short of desired length. So you can knit longer if that's what you prefer. And I have seen lots of people have already done that. There's a lot of finished projects that have come through, and I'm seeing on social media, on Ravelry, and it's really awesome to see. Even so, one who had not only knitted it in one of my favorite colors, but with Peter Capaldi. Like, my Soleil shell met Peter Capaldi. That's wow. So that's really cool. But yeah, anyway, I'm linking to Anushka's knitting podcast down below. If you haven't checked it out already, you really should. It's very nice. And and I will, as ever, always link to my designer page on Ravelry below. So whatever. This is so disorganized. Oh my days, what is happening? My brain, there's gonna be so much editing involved. Hopefully you guys are viewing something very nice and streamlined that will make sense. But that is not what's happening on the other side of the lens, just saying. I'm part of a book, that's the other thing. I don't know what I'm going to say about the book. It's coming out today that I'm recording this, so I should know stuff. What I do know is that it's called Instastikkboka. It is a Norwegian book, so it's going to be in Norwegian, available in Norway. It's a very small publishing company. They literally just started off with this book, so I wouldn't put too much expectations on them to translate into English. I always have to say this because every time I say that there's something about a Norwegian book, people put demands on me to have it out in English, and I'm like, if I had that kind of power, goodness me, would I have used it? But sadly not. So, but for those of you who can read Norwegian, who can get hold of books from Norway, that is a book that I am part of. Instastikkboka. I'm gonna put the cover here. I'm part of it. It's cool. So they asked, I think, 10 Instagram-based Norwegian knitting designers to take part, and I am part of it. So there will be 3 patterns in there that I have already published. So there's the Fun Wood mitts, and there will be the 2 doll stockings, and Vinterfjell hat. I remembered. I didn't even write down and I remembered. It's good. I also have a new pattern that is exclusive to the book until I get the rights back, which I don't even know when is. But you can get it in the book, and it is. I don't remember if I've shown this off on the podcast, but I don't think I have. It was in my show notes from last week, but I really don't remember ever having showed this on recording. I might be wrong. It's been a really long time since I did this. What happened? I like missed out on all of August. But this is the cowl. So this pattern, you may have seen it before because it's a very old traditional Norwegian chart. Surprise. Usually you will find this pattern on very fine knit Norwegian satin mittens at the palm side. So you can imagine it has to be very fine knit for the whole of this to show. Yeah, because this is not as fine knit. This is sort of a, I think it was a 24 stitch gauge, maybe 26. I think it was 24. Usually that's my go-to. It's very nice. It's a very nice fabric, I think. I'm using Ask by Hillesvåg, one of my favorite mills in Norway. I've been there, I love it. If you're ever going to the Bergen Knitting Festival, do make sure you can go to that mill on the Thursday beforehand. I love it. So yeah, this is Ask. It is very, very similar to Finul. You could just use Finul. That's fine. Or Tove by Sandnes, or Spindrift, 2-ply jump away, 2Q wool, all those yarns. So yeah, don't know what else to say. It's a cowl, obviously. It's not flat, it's round. Oh, look at those floats. Look at those snacksy floats. Such floats. Wow, I was really like, it almost looks like it's reversed. Haha. I'm someone who's like, who cares about the floats? Whatever they look like, it's fine, as long as this side looks good. And yeah, I managed to produce some pretty snacksy floats. I'll take that. So it can't be a hat. I mean, you can try, but that's not the point. The point is to keep your neck warm, and it does that. So it's very nice if you can like bottom up a coat around it and stuff. Obviously you can adjust how high up it sits. You want to have it lower or high. It's just really nice for that. I also have a massive head, so if it goes over my head, it should go over anyone's head. Whoa. I don't remember what was put in the book, but I know that I put in the pattern, so it's probably most definitely in the book, is how long each repeat of the chart is. So you can add more repeats if you want to, so you could make it a bigger cowl. You could also take out repeats if you want a smaller cowl. Obviously lengthwise you knit as long as you want. I could have probably knitted it longer, but I just had a feeling this would be a good length, and it was. So there. Cowl in the Insta-strikkboka, which is coming out today, which is exciting. And so I had done a giveaway, you know, the last century that I did the last episode. It was a giveaway. I did it because I reached 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. This bag was donated by Bags by Awesome Granny. Story here is a bit funny. I saw this bag on the Knitting Expat podcast. It's a podcast by my good friend Mina, who lives just south of London and is an all-around awesome person, and she was showing off this bag, and I'm like, I want it. And she had like a code for it, and she basically sent people off to the Etsy shop of Bags by Awesome Granny, and I ordered mine, and then she emailed me and was like, oh my god, Skeindeer, if you want 2 bags instead, you can do a giveaway. And I'm like, yeah. So I did. So there's a giveaway. So I have a bag myself. This is my bag. It's the same. They're identical. And it's massive. Like, I carry this bag with me. It's got this handle. Right? And I'm just carrying with me, and I'm knitting from it. And people are like, wow, it's a really nice bag. And I'm like, yeah. It's like a TARDIS bag. The second Doctor Who reference this episode. It's a TARDIS bag. I got like, and I'm like pulling this thing out. It wasn't in there now, but just for the sake of argument. And there's like a bagel in here, and I don't know, my phone that just buzzed. Everything is in this bag. It's like, and there's a project at the very bottom, which is that top I said I would have finished in a week, and it's been like 3 weeks. Yeah, let's not talk about that. So it's big, is what I'm trying to say. It's very big. So this bag will go out to one of you amazing lovely people who left a amazing lovely comment in my thread in my Ravelry group. So I hadn't really decided a prompt when I recorded last episode, and I sort of thought that, oh, how am I going to do this, because the group is both for the podcast and for my designs, and there will be lots of people in the group who haven't really watched the podcast. Now, as much as I appreciate people who are there for the designs, of course, the giveaway was for podcast viewers, and so I just needed to put in a prompt to make sure that the people taking part were viewers. And so I just said, say something nice about the podcast, because right, you would actually have to watch the podcast to know. Did I not expect to be showered by so many compliments? I kind of thought people would talk about, you know, like the podcast as a sort of external thing to myself. That's kind of how I view the podcast. Obviously I view myself as this other entity, so like, you know. I can't get over all the incredibly lovely things that was written in that group. I'm sad that I had to close it because the giveaway is over. Oh, you guys are so nice. And it's not just like the things that were really lovely, it's also like a lot of those things that are the things that I am trying to convey with this podcast. And I am someone who has massive struggles with communicating clearly and getting across what all the mess in here, and to read in that group that I have actually succeeded in doing that, thank you. That's really all I ever want to hear. So ooh, my voice is gone. But yeah, really truly thank you. That was, yeah, like I said, my thinking behind that prompt was just to make sure that people had watched the podcast before taking part. And then I'm like, I have unlocked Skeindeer achievement here. This is so nice. It's so nice. I am ridiculously humbled, and I'm not crying, I just have a cold. But I could have been. So yeah, this bag, I did a random number generator. I didn't say I was going to. I assume that's a given. I'm not gonna like pick my favorite compliment, but there will be winners. I did random.org where I drew all the posts from the last one to the first one after the one I posted, and the winner is CatarinaLobato, who I believe is a Portuguese knitter living in Norway, which is amazing. So thank you so much for your kind words, and I will have this bag shipped to you if you Ravelry message me your address, or if you're going to Oslo, you can have it in person. We can make that work. I don't think you're very far away, going by your Rav info. So just get in touch with me on Ravelry. I'll try to make sure I read it in time, because I am not on top of my inboxes. What else is new? What else is new? Finally, we can talk about what I've been knitting on. So I have 4 projects I want to talk about. I have worked on a lot of things obviously since last time, but it's been a lot of secret mittens, and I actually finished a whole jumper that's gonna come out. I don't know why I don't want to show it to you now. I just kind of feel a bit protective of it still. I don't know. It's gonna come out. But I have 4 works in progress that are all designs of mine. So if you're trying to look for links to patterns and stuff, they're not gonna be there because they're not out yet. So sorry. This is a terrible episode, because like usually if you're like being a bit business savvy, you make sure that people have a place to put their money, you know. I don't do that. I just want to talk about knitting and show you guys stuff that I'm really enthusiastic about, and then strategy. Other people can do strategy. I don't know. Just now, I don't know if you remember this. This was announced in spring. I said I shouldn't really announce it now because it takes me such a long time to get stuff out, and I don't want hype to die down, and then hype died down because I couldn't keep it up. I was making a skirt. It is the little black skirt that I'm gonna call it, because you know the little black dress, like what was that, like Audrey Hepburn, whatever. I have my standard uniform, my little black skirt. Weird enough, I'm not wearing that today. I'm wearing my massive polka dot skirt. It's like kind of my oh, you know, those people who are telling you if you're bottom heavy in your body shape, you shouldn't wear bottom heavy garments, you know, stuff with lots of print and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna wear a polka dot skirt and it's gonna be loud and big. Anyway, my usual uniform is a kind of standard black above the knee skirt. I'm knitting one, so it is nearly done. This is a pretty good length. I want to add a little bit more, but I'm getting there. I am thinking a lot about how to write down the pattern as I'm knitting it, although it's already written down. I think what I'm going to do is just to say increase according to, you know, the increase round for this amount of centimeters until you are at the desired length. I used to try to like make it end up at a particular stitch count, and I'm like, it really doesn't matter. Like, you don't ever have to count your stitches with this skirt. You're gonna have a ridiculous amount of stitches in the end. Don't worry, you're using like a 4 or 4.5 millimeter needle, so it's not that slow. But you're gonna have so many stitches, you're not gonna want to count them, and I'm not gonna make you. It really doesn't matter, because basically, okay, you do the waist thing. I'm not gonna give away the entire thing, and then you increase one round, and then you establish the increase pattern, and you just keep doing that until you have the length that you want. Then you knit the same hem again. There is no increase here. That, like, it will add up and it will work and it will be fine. Right, so that's a skirt. Just gave away half the pattern now before it came out. That's smart. Anyway, the little black skirt is a pattern I'm working on. I hope it will come out soon. I really like it. I am gonna be all over this skirt when it gets colder. We're gonna hope that will happen at some point, and it's just gonna be something nice and warm to wear. It isn't very thick. It's a very sort of fine pattern. You can sort of see the contours of my hand, but you can't actually see through the skirt. Yeah, it's a very nice light fabric. I'm using Navia Duo, which is very comparable to Fenul, which is probably the yarn you're most familiar with now. It's a 20 stitch gauge, so it's the loosest gauge I would probably do with that kind of yarn, so don't go out for anything finer. Also, I'm using 6 balls of Duo, so if you want to like pre-purchase yarn until this comes out, that's gonna be more than enough for anything that's for, I'm gonna say like an 80 to 90 centimeter waist and below. Obviously if you're more, then that will be more. I haven't done the yarn grading yet. That's why I'm just like roughly, in case someone wants to know. I will put up more precise information when the pattern's out, of course, obviously. Oh my god, brain, stop having a fever. This is ridiculous. So yeah, little black skirt. It's just a big black blob right now, but it will be a thing. Mark my words. And you can knit in other colors, obviously. So I'm gonna take a bit of time with this design, and I'm gonna open a window because it's roasting in here and I don't care about the noise. It's just, we're just gonna have to deal. Anyway, I came up with a design. It just popped up in my head. I knew exactly what it was going to look like because a lovely podcast viewer sent me a pile of Navia Duo. I was already knitting on 2 Navia Duo projects when I was showing up at the Socks on the Beach events that happen in Brighton, and I haven't really been in 2 years, so it's not something I go to regularly, but people remembered me from last time, and I remembered people from last time, which is even more incredible because this memory. Anyway, so I got that yarn in the mail very shortly after, and thank you so much for sending me that yarn. I immediately cast on, and I really got so absorbed in it. I was like knitting halfway through the pile of yarn before I even got around to thank her. Yeah, so thank you, Angie. Seriously, that yarn was so scrumptious. Like, I already love Duo, but some of it was like unraveled and caked up and stuff, and it was so squishy. I immediately casted this thing on. I even made a tutorial as I was making it because I know this is going to probably confuse a lot of people. It's a similar construction to that of the Icelander, which I will talk about as well. And I immediately just got this picture of this sweater in my head, and it had to happen. So it basically is a construction where you cast on for the length of the back, and it's a drop sleeve shoulder, and you work short rows flat, and then you cast on a little steek and pick up for the front. It is different from the Icelander in the sense that you don't have a front steek. you just work short rows to lower the neckline, because it's actually a boat neck. But I don't know about you, but when boat necks, they can be a bit, you know, you just feel like it's just a bit tight right here. So I just want to lower it 1 inch, just an inch, just to like a little bit. It doesn't make a huge difference. It's still a boat neck, but it looked really cool, so I'm going to show you. Look at that. It's a boat neck, but just that. Okay, that's the rest of it. Look at that. So it's, yeah, like I said, drop sleeve, so it will kind of hang nicely off the shoulders like this, and sleeve should come down here. Yeah. Okay, stop being ridiculous and use your words, Ellie. So you can see here the short rows obviously stop here so that it gets lower. I just said that, but it doesn't do that for the back, so it's higher. I love coming up with new construction methods. Like, I don't come up with new shapes. Obviously, I never invented the drop sleeve, shoulder drop, whatever. But coming up with new ways of doing it to avoid purling and to be able to incorporate color work, yes, and to do a drop down. Goodness me, yes. Because that's like the main thing that I try to work out. And with short rows and just all those things that I like to put into patterns that maybe people didn't do back in the days, you know, from the times that I am very much inspired by. But yeah. Hey, woohoo. Oh yes. I don't know what else to say. I had so many things going through my mind when I was making this. It just is inspiring. You may recognize bits of the chart. It is the very Satistar aesthetic. If you don't know the Satistar, it's like the classic Lucy kofta, the black cardigan with the white dots and stuff. And I have changed the charts. It's got the same chart elements, but I really just rearranged it a lot. It looks a little bit like what you will often find on the upper sleeves. But yeah, I rearranged it and make it look a bit like there's a system to it, kind of, but not really. It just works for this particular kind of setup. So yeah. I am looking forward to just like snuggling up in this in the winter. So the plan for the rest of it is actually a fairly cropped fit with a load of rib and a split hem. That's literally it. I want to make it quite loose and comfortable. But again, it's chopped down. So for anyone who wants the longer length, knock your socks off, I guess. That's how people say, I don't know. I always like to modify for length because I personally loved crops. I personally love cropped fits, but not everyone does. Cropped sweater seems to be all the rage right now, so you know, if I'm gonna try to be all business savvy, I guess it's a good thing, but it's also a good thing that it fits me. But I don't ever want people to think that, oh, then I can't do that because I want things to be longer, because I will always put in the pattern how you can modify length. That's the one thing. If I can make it work into the pattern, I will say knit to this amount short of desired length. Because you don't want to have to sit there and calculate, oh, how many rows is that rib? Oh, is that going to be too long if I knit to that length? Because I don't know how long 10 rounds of rib is. I will tell you. I will at least try to estimate for you. So if you're like roughly around that row gauge, you'll be fine. Why am I saying that now? It's not even out yet. Yeah, that's what's happening. It's really nice and light. Yeah, just keep knitting. I just finished up that lovely squishy cake of yarn. I'm not going to be hauling this yarn because I've already packed it in vacuum, because what happens when it's really hot in London is that all those textile eating bugs come out. It's like they're incubating in this temperature. So I just pack up everything. I'm like, keep it safe, keep it safe. Am I paranoid? Maybe, but it works. So yeah, neckline has like a folded over sewn in neckline. I am gonna write a smaller needle size than what I used in the pattern, because I do find this one is a little bit loose, and I was really scared that it would tighten up the neckline, but it really didn't. So I'm gonna give you smaller needles so that you get better neckline than what I have. Obviously those are relative needle sizes, because don't look at needle size, look at gauge. I will always tell you, like, there's the main gauge, and then you need to modify around that to make sure you get that same gauge with color work, and then whatever needle size you chose to get gauge and stockinette, you get maybe half a needle size smaller for rib or whole needle size small for it, whatever I tell you in the pattern. It matters because we all knit differently. It's been nearly a year since the last time I had a good rant about we all knit differently, don't talk about needle size, talk about gauge. But yeah, maybe I should bring that back a bit more. It's just a gripe that I have. I guess the reason why I haven't brought it up so much lately is sometimes, well, actually often, people kind of jokingly say, you know, oh, I didn't swatch, sorry Ellie, or I didn't measure gauge, sorry Ellie. And I'm like, that's never ever been my objective. I am not the swatch police, I'm not the gauge police. If you don't get gauge, fine. If you don't swatch, fine. I don't swatch, I don't know. I'm just kind of eyeballing my gauge most of the time. The reason I talk about gauge and the fact that you should ignore needle size and focus on gauge, whether you get it right or wrong, I don't care. I want you to understand what gauge does to your knitting. I want you to understand how stitch gauge is the measurement of the width of the stitch measured across a certain measurement and unit, oh god, and row gauge is a measurement of the height of the stitch. You're measuring the size of the stitch, and it stands to reason that the size of the stitch will correspond to the size of what you're making. Be a shawl, a mitten, a sweater, what have you, it always matters because it will always determine the size of the total thing. And I think you care about the size, probably, and you can use it to your advantage to change the size, to change the density of the fabric. So I don't care if people swatch, I don't care if you get gauge. I just want you to know that that is what gauge is a measurement of the size of the stitch. And needle size is just your means of getting a particular stitch size. People get different stitch sizes. Say I can say stitch size instead of gauge, it means the same thing. People can get different stitch sizes with different needle sizes. That is why everyone using the same needle size for a particular pattern isn't going to work. So yeah, anyway, that wasn't planned. I need to get back into the gauge groove. So yeah, upcoming pattern, who knows when, but I'm working on it. I love it. I am a bit obsessed with it. Oh dear. So yeah, I'm thinking about bringing in a little bit more texture into it as well, but I'm not sure. I might be overkilling it a little bit. Anyway, this is what I've got right now. I think what I have in stash is about 1,300 meters of this main grey, and I used less than one finer ball of the black. So yeah, I'm combining finer and duo by Navia, whatever. So for anyone again who wants to like pre-purchase stuff, because if you're going to Oslo, you might be interested to know that Roma and Sandnes are launching their new autumn colors, and they are amazing. And I can't even, I just said that like I'm a teenager on Tumblr, but I can't even. They are amazing. They are like marbled, like yeah, autumnal. They're so nice. So not sponsored, just a massive fan, and I'm gonna be so broke next week. I'm just gonna buy all the yarn even before the festival. It's a good thing I'm only gonna go to one. Wow. Anyway. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about the design as of right now, but I will say there will be a tutorial for the construction. I'm really pleased with the tutorial, although some of the numbers I'm saying aren't right because I changed the pattern a bit, but the construction is there, the pattern is correct. I've already edited and done the video, so they'll come out with a pattern. So I'm going to try to be better with tutorials. I hate making them, they are really bad. You should have seen them, you will see them. The light is off, the focus is off, everything is off, but they do the thing. Right, they tell you what to do, they show you the thing. They aren't fully fledged tutorials in the sense that they show you every technique. So if you want to know how to do, say, a backwards loop cast on for the steeks and stuff, for the thumbs or what have you, you want to get separate tutorials for that. I am just showing you how it all comes together to do the particular thing that I want to tell you to do in the pattern, right? So just bear that in mind. So I made 3 tutorials right now, that none of which have come out, but they will. There is for that sweater, there's for the Icelander I'm going to show you in a bit, and there is for mitten thumbs. At last, I guess it doesn't hurt me to make them, it just hurts my soul that they're so bad, but I've done it. But I've done it with a pattern that's going to come out in the club. The first pattern, mind you, but that means the video is not going to come out until I release the club. But I will make the video available to people whether they purchase the pattern or not, because you may not purchase this club, but maybe you have previous mittens of mine. So I'm just going to make it public, whatever, I think. So there's this other pattern that I just came up with, and I've literally done all of the work I've done on it so far in a week, and then I left it for 2 weeks doing other things like that amazing grey sweater and the skirt and the mittens and other things. But this cardigan is so quick, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know what it is about it, but it just keeps, there's always something new happening, but it's quite simple, but it's got all the steeks and it's quite quick as well. I'm using fairly big needles on that as well. I think for my gauge I'm using 4.5. They don't have sick leave for knitting designers, in case you didn't know. Not for PhD students either. Anyway, the pattern I'm making, I have posted about this a lot on Instagram, so this won't be a huge surprise to most of you, but in case you're no longer in my algorithm, because most of you aren't, because Instagram has evil algorithms. Wow, that looks like a big green blob. Can you see anything? I don't know if you can see anything. No, I can't see anything. Okay, that works. Yeah, it's been scrunched up in my bag for a week, but oh, this cardigan. You can tell I've like taken notes from Anushka about shoulder fit. Whether she approves or not, I don't know, but I've tried, and it fits me really well, and I hope it will fit most people really well. Working down the sleeve, basically stopped knitting the cuff because I couldn't remember how long I said it was going to be, so that's nearly done. Again, the sleeves are so quick here. And there's a lot of steeks. It has 4 steeks, and it's so easy. So this is a bottom-up construction. Don't leave me yet. Listen, hear me out, okay? I don't usually do bottom-up, but reversing this chart to top-down wasn't happening. That was one reason. It's a beautiful chart. I really wanted it. It is not happening top-down. It just wasn't working. The other thing is, this is actually a satin sleeve design. Actually, you can tell that it is. Now, while I think that yokes and raglans are excellent top down, both for construction, for trying on, for knowing the depth of the yoke before you split for sleeves and body, I think actually a satin sleeve design might be more optimal to knit the other way around, because length is just measured from here to the underarm like any other garment, so that's pretty straightforward. It's not going to change no matter what you do. But then the armhole length, you really just modify that by how long you knit this bit. That you can do more easily bottom up, or maybe as easily. It's easy to do top down too, but I do think that this particular construction, or not construction, but like shape, the satin sleeve shape, is just as good bottom up. I do love top down just because I loved starting off in this bit, but that's just personal preference. I think in terms of fit and making it work for you, bottom up might be just as good, if not better. So it's working out really well, especially when the pattern is at the bottom like it is here. You don't have to ever estimate that you're knitting, you know, to this length and hope you're bang on row gauge to get the rest of it. Like I said with the soulaire, you basically finish off this bit that is obligatory no matter what length you want, and then from here on to the underarm you just knit for the length that you want, and you will know the body length. So I am pretty pleased with that construction. I just had to like abandon the idea of top down, and then it was actually working out really well for me. It has steeked armholes, you can see they're on the inside. Yeah, it's working out. You're picking up stitches later doing it this way. There is a steek for the front, so you can see that one still quite visible here. So basically how it looks before you cut it is that everything is so scrunched up in the middle. Oh, that's not showing that. I'm gonna put it in the photo I put on Instagram, you can see it there. So that's what it looks like before and after, and it blew my mind the first time I saw someone do this, and then I've done it myself a couple of times, and it makes perfect sense. It just, trust, it'll be fine. The last steek, of course, is the one for the front of the cardigan. It's the most conventional type of steek that I'm sure you're most familiar with. I have already put in the crochet kind of stabilizing bit here. which Riverknits has the best tutorial for doing that. I'm never going to do a stick tutorial because she's done it and it's good. If it's done well by someone like her, nobody needs to do it, in my opinion. I have nothing to complain about that video, so just follow that. The other thing I just want to add is to make sure that you are using a appropriate yarn. Actually, if you go to the Kosekofta pattern on Ravelry and you scroll to the last photo on the pattern page, you don't have to buy the pattern, it's just there. I made a kind of flow chart of knowing how to choose the yarn. That applies to anything that you're going to stick without sewing. But if you really don't want to use that kind of yarn, if you want to make this in superwash yarn, just use a sewing machine. I have so many superwash garments that have been sticked because I told my mom to sew for me, and then we got, and it was fine. But I personally love making this in pure wool. So I'm gonna try it on. I can actually try it on even though it's on the needles. It will be a bit fiddly, and I'm already wearing knitwear, but so yeah, if it looks a bit bulky, it's just because I'm already kind of layered up. But it would have been easy if I'd stick the cardigan now, which I could have done. I just haven't. I don't know why I say stick like it's a verb. It's not really, but so yeah, this is the fit. It's a very nice sort of skirt dress length crop, but again, don't have to crop it. There's no reason why you have to crop it. It is not actually waist fitted. I couldn't put in any shaping obviously due to the lace, but I didn't need to. So there. How nice is that? Whoa. Okay, now what else? This is awkward. Yeah, so this is kind of how it fits. Obviously now things look a bit floppy up here because I haven't done the neck bands, and they will obviously pull things a bit up. So yeah, quite like that. Pretty chuffed. Never really done a proper satin sleeve design. Obviously this top that I'm wearing underneath is a satin sleeve. It just doesn't have sleeves. So it was a bit easier. I had to figure out how to do that here. So, but it's working. I do also want to say that maybe some people will be a bit alarmed that the measurement around here is quite big. That's because you start decreasing right away and you want it to fit here just as much as up here. So that's literally the whole reason you want to have that leeway. So yeah, that was the Haust cardigan. Haust. Wow, Norwegian, do I even know it? Anyway, that's what it's going to be called, which is sort of my prompt to myself to have it published when it's autumn. So I'm hoping to finish that as well so I can photograph it in Oslo, because if it's anything like last year, the autumn colors of Big Day, I want to have it photographed there. So I haven't actually worked on this fourth thing I'm going to show you. I just wanted to talk about it a bit because people have asked. The Icelander. What happened to the Icelander? It is still on this stage. What is wrong with this stage? Well, nothing really. It's nearly done. Right? The sleeve took me a bit aback because it's just sleeve. Sleeves are sleeve. They're a bit slow. Neckline's going to be super quick. It's not a very big neckline. And once I've done one sleeve, the other one just kind of follows suit. The reason that I took a bit of a break with this, one, it was summer, and publishing a pattern in the summer that people associate with winter is just not a very good idea. And the second thing is that it's a really complicated construction. I have made two construction methods in the pattern. So there is version A that is very simple, which is going to be quite similar to this, but there won't be any short rows, because short rows and color work is the thing that makes it complicated. I've done that here, so it's a thing that you can do, but it will require concentration and probably a bit of pattern support, so I wasn't in a space where I could give that, and I don't want to publish this until I can. But I also think I'm going to try to make it as easy to follow for people without getting in touch with me. That's the whole point of a pattern. So I'm working on that. So I made a tutorial for version A, which is applicable to version B as well. It's just that the short rows in color work are separate. So whether I do a video for that or not, I don't think. But I will be making individualized charts for every freaking size, and there are a lot of sizes. I'm not looking forward to that, but I found that helped my test knitters, so working on that. The other thing is that some people said that it was a little bit tight around the arms, and I thought, that's a bit strange, but tried it on and I'm like, I mean, it's alright. It's alright, but yeah, it's a bit like, I would have expected a garment like this to be maybe a bit looser. So I went through the pattern again and I looked at it and I'm like, well, the way drop sleeves worked, and this is like, duh. They will drop differently for different sizes. If you have a very large bust, you will choose a larger size, where the drop will be further down here. If you have a very small bust, the drop will be further up here, because the drop is literally in proportion to your bust. It's just one big box, that's the whole fit. So I found that the people in my test knitter group said that the sleeves are a bit tight, and I'm like, why are only the smaller sizes saying that? That makes no, well, it makes perfect sense. Because the larger sizes have a drop down here, so the sleeve will fit fine down here, but it will be quite tight up here for those that have a drop here. So I need to make sure people knit a certain length before starting to decrease. Yes, so I have worked that into this now. I didn't want to publish it until I had fixed that. So what I'm going to do with my design is actually cut off the sleeve and then knit it for some length and then graft it back on again, so that I don't have to spend ages doing the sleeve. It is fine the way it is, but being a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes, I just think it would be nicer if it kind of starts down here and it's a bit looser than if it starts up here. And I'm like, it's quite fitted, and some may want that and some may not. And if you obviously want to fit it, you can just start decreasing earlier. That works. So there's Icelander. This is what's happening with Icelander. So I'm hoping it will come out for the winter. I really do like this, and I can't help but notice a lot of people are wearing these kinds of sweaters nowadays. You know, you can get them a lot from thrift shops and similar things, and it seems trendy, and I'm like, am I now one of those people who's making a garment that's trendy? Is that what's happening? I'm doing a trendy thing. This doesn't happen a lot ever. Oh, now the last bits I have for you guys before I crawl back into bed. Acquisitions. I'm probably gonna forget stuff that I have acquired because it's been 3 weeks and I have a very not the best memory, especially not in times of great stress and illness and all that stuff. But you know what, I had some things laying around that I saw immediately. I'm like, yes, that's something we're gonna mention. So I bought some yarn. When I went to the Socks on the Beach event, there was a de-stash thing happening, which meant that you can do some pretty good bargains. I'm not going to say how cheap this was, £30 I think, for 3 skeins of Riverknits. So that's kind of like a 3 for the price of 1. A sweater quantity for the price of 1 skein, if you will. Now usually a sweater quantity my size is safer for 4 skeins, because obviously a sweater quantity is relative for different sizes. But I can get away with 3 when I crop things. It's not going to be very oversized, but it is doable. So this is what it looks like by Riverknits, who dies on a riverboat, which is just incredible. I think she's actually moved into a studio now, which I'm like, yes, that makes sense, because riverboats are not big. Though I've been in some, and they are pretty impressive on the inside. Like I was in one the other day, because friend who I used to work in a yarn shop with, she was borrowing it from someone, like looking after it for them and their little pet. Their bathroom was nicer than ours in a boat. That's got nothing to do with Riverknits. I'm just, riverboats fascinate me. We have a lot of them in London. People live there. It's pretty cool. And yeah, so I got 3. They live in tightly sealed bag because paranoia, and that's the bag it came in. I don't know what to make with it. I have 2 ideas. One is a pattern that already exists, and one is a pattern I could potentially make up. I have the image in my mind. The construction will be similar to the sweater I just showed you, but no color work, but reverse stockinette and some things. I just haven't found the things, and I don't know how to do the things. Yeah, that's what I had in mind, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. I have enough designs in the works, and this idea is so far away from my usual, you know, inspired by traditional things thing and woolly wool thing. Anyway, I got this in the mail yesterday and I screamed. It's one for me and one for you guys. I think I will be saving it for prices for the Mitten Club, and obviously the other one's for me, and that is these project bags. close-up time. I mean, come on, look at that. You can see why I wanted this to be a mitten price. So the insides are actually the only things that sets these apart. This one has a very sort of gentle snow thing, and the other one is a very loud snow thing. I don't know which one I like the most. This one is really fun, and this one's just really elegant. They're both fun and elegant. They're so nice. So these were made for me by Strikkeville on Instagram. I don't think she sells bags. I didn't see any links on her social media, so I don't think she does. And also they have like these little burgundy. So thank you so much, Strikkeville. It also came with a really lovely note that I managed to break in the enthusiasm of opening the parcel. But yeah, she basically just said, thank you for making such a nice podcast. I look forward to every episode, and I get very inspired by what you make and your designs. And yeah, lots of really nice things, and just about, you know, trial and error and things like that. So yeah, thank you so much. I feel a bit spoiled. I am spoiled. So that came in my mail. Yeah, I'm gonna have to decide which one to keep and which to put in the price pile. But thank you so much. If between the time that I record this and when I put this up, find that she does have a shop, I will of course add it to the description. But if I don't, then there isn't any. So there we have that. And yeah, so that is all that I have for you guys in this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I don't know how long this episode is going to be or not, because there's just so much nonsense I had to edit out. One, for not being very prepared. Two, because literally both my housemates came and left and had visitors, and just generally don't seem to treat today as a work day, and neither am I, to be honest. I'm gonna go work now. So yeah. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time, and hopefully it won't be that long. And maybe I'll see some of you guys in Oslo soon. Looking forward to see you guys there. So, bye.